Hey everyone, it's Libby from Maighstirtarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's W-O-R-I-M-I, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides in the universal energies. I am determinedly doing a no orange felon cabinet blah blah day today. So thank you for joining me. Yes, he's doing as usual, threaten this and threaten that via Untruth Social. Gabbard has fled the ship, but I'll leave others to read on her as well. Yeah, the two main excuses that politicians or cabinet members or whatever give for resigning is family and health. Well, she combined both of them. She's not stupid, and I think what's happened is that she was pretty much installed in the regime by her overlords, entertainment only. Allegedly, the Kremlin, she is a known Russian asset. And what do I get? I get the Sun card. Absolutely, she is a known Russian asset. My feels is that allegedly she was installed at the orders of the Kremlin, but she can see it's really unraveling. And she is not stupid. She is getting out while she can. So I'm going to use the Tarot Grand Lux. I'm not going to read on Gabba because there will be a lot of readers that do really good readings on her. I actually want to do something a bit closer to home, being a wet and chilly Saturday. I am going to have a look at our own One Nation party. Now, what's happening is that, same with in the US, there is this rise of cashed up far-right oligarchs purchasing media, mainstream media. It's happening in France. It's pretty much been there in the US for a long time. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Australia. So you've got these, but it's really blatantly obvious in the US. But yeah, it's happening everywhere. And so I want to just have a look at, because the reporting that's coming out, and I saw a report today, it's like, yeah, really, sure. There's a party in Australia called One Nation Party. It's led by the Orange Harpy, a person by the name of Pauline Hanson, who is literally a walking one-line slogan. That's all she ever comes up with. Incredibly divisive, incredibly hateful person, and boy, oh boy, doesn't it show on her face. She's actually spent time in prison for electoral fraud. So I have no idea how she's even permitted to run for office. She has, I believe, a seat in our Senate, our federal Senate. And what's happened recently is one of her party members won a by-election seat, or some parts of the world call it special election, in what is a highly conservative area that was very much a LNP area, Liberal National Party. Trust me, they're not liberal at all. They're our conservative party. They were opposition, but what's happened is that they're becoming more and more far-right extreme in an attempt to appeal to the far-right extreme voters, call them MAGA voters or Australian version of MAGA voters. But there's already a party that occupies that space. So what's happening is that what was the opposition are moving further and further right to try and take voters from One Nation, but they're already One Nation voters. So, I mean, in all honesty, what they should be doing is moving towards further left, towards the centre, and then they might regain some trust. So what's happening is that voters are saying, well, why should we vote for LNP when there's already One Nation? That are already solidly in that ground. Okay, so what's happened recently? There was a press conference that the Orange Harpy was at, and pretty much she decided she didn't like the questions that were being asked by the reporters, because Australian reporters ask actual questions and hard questions. They don't ask softball, or they're not pre-planted. And she decided she'd she had answered enough questions, didn't like what she was being asked, and she pretty much walked away. What happened then is her media advisor, who was the guy that had set up the press conference, told reporters it was enough, and the reporters were still trying to get, shouting questions, and the media advisor pretty much said, we're done, shut up, we're done. And one of the reporters said, did you just say shut up for us to shut up? And he said, yes, shut up. And then he stormed off as well. And boy, oh boy, didn't our reporters have a field day on that. And then what's happened is, I won't say it was a mic drop moment, but there was a reporter that was still filming as they were all storming off. And the Orange Harpy said, you should have said you're a nasty little bitch to Richard Henderson, the media advisor. You should have said you're a nasty bitch. And this is the leader of a political party. And all the advisors that were around her, including Barnaby of the beetroot face, they just laughed. They laughed as if it was hilarious. Now, excuse me, if there are... Now, just to put a little bit into context, Pauline Hanson is very much... The Orange Harpy is very much like the Orange Idiot in the US. In fact, she actually was flown by Australia's wealthiest person, Gina Rinehart, who made her money from her father pretty much stealing land. He went to the government back in the day, back in the 40s, 50s, whatever it was, and said to the government, I want this bit of land because I think it's rich with iron ore. And the government said, yeah, sure, pay us a fee and you can have it. Pretty sure the local inhabitants weren't asked, but anyhow, that's how she made her money. So pretty much via her father being involved in land grabbing, land stealing, slavery, you name it. So she's now Australia's richest person, ended up in a massive court case with her own children to block their inheritance from their grandfather when they reached age, etc. So despised by her own children. It says a lot about somebody really when that happens. Anyhow, so the Orange Harpy, Pauline Hanson, has aligned herself with Gina. Gina paid for her to the Orange Harpy to fly to Mar-a-Lago to give a speech at the RNC. So this tells you where the alignment is. I'm pretty sure Danielle Smith from Canada was there as well. And apparently Gina's also gifted the Orange Harpy her own aeroplane so she can fly around. Been given a lot of gifts such as this, which pretty much are against the legalities of our electoral system. But I think because they've been declared, she can get away with it. It's in really shady grey territory there. Okay, but I want to have a look at the future of One Nation, and I want to have a look at the future of the Orange Harpy. She's just such a divisive piece of work. She's the one that will, every decade she comes out with a new immigrant group. I mean, she's squeaky white. Her history is immigration as well. Every decade she comes out with a new immigrant group to attack. It's been the Vietnamese, the Lebanese, she's currently now anti-Muslim, but every decade she comes out with a new attack, a new minority group to attack. She will perform stunts like wearing burqas into Parliament and then get herself tossed out. And of course, then it's the perfect photo op and media opportunity for her to then, oh gosh, I just have no words for how awful she is. But anyhow, she is garnering attention, and her party is taking away from what was the traditional, what would now be the opposition party, as voters then go, well, why would I vote for this mediocre blancmange version of One Nation? And of course, they always have these patriotic names, don't they? when I can vote for the hateful full-on party? Why would I go for the blancmange version of the hateful party when I can vote for the actual true version of it? So what's happening is she's pretty much taking away the LNP votes, but the LNPs aren't all going to her. You're finding through polling that's been done recently is they're actually splitting in both directions. So LNP done for. I read at the time when they lost the federal election and Susan Ley was made the head of the LNP. I read at the time and I said to husband, if they put her in charge, they're done. It's the end of them. And they put her in charge and they've pretty much, it's the end of them. So I want to have a look at, what have I got? 3 of Swords. Heartbreak, loss, despair at the bottom there. Okay. Betrayal. I do find with the One Nation Party that they get people that stand as members for the party, and then once they're in the system, they go, oh, hang on, I don't like this after all, and leave. There's been a number of those occur, but I want to have a look. The future of One Nation Australia. What do we need to know? Using the the Tarot Grand Lux. Let's have a look. The future of One Nation in Australia. Sorry about my long waffle. I just wanted to let you know it doesn't just happen in the US. But what's actually happening is a lot of people are turning off mainstream media in Australia. We have our own version of Fox over here called Sky, but you know the full in's head over there, but the rest of us, it's on one of these secondary channels over there somewhere that nobody really watches unless you're actually full in, boots and all. Okay, the future of One Nation. The future of the One Nation Party in Australia. Okay, got this. Sorry about the long waffle. This has come out. The Knight of Wands. They're bringing forward a really fiery message. As I said, it's sort of 5-word slogans. It's all about divisiveness, it's hate, it's blame, you know, the usual sort of petty nastiness that garners attention, that riles people up emotionally, because instead of taking action, I mean, I was taught quite a while ago in my early 30s, I was doing a course, and one thing that really stuck with me in that particular course, in fact, it was actually about a real estate investing course, not about personal growth or anything. But one thing that really, the only thing I really can remember from it is that we are all the architects of our own lives, and only our own lives, and nobody else is the architect of our own life. So if we do not like how our life is going, and I'm talking about the blueprint of the life. Now, I do understand there are mental health issues that sometimes take this control out of people's hands, which is why we need support services. But for the majority of us, we are the architect of our own life. If we do not like how our life is going, it is up to us to change the blueprint. It's not carved in stone. It's not built and cannot be altered, renovated, adjusted, or whatever. But what happens with these far right political groups is they take away the responsibility of us being in control of our own lives by blaming somebody else. For those that don't want to admit that their situation in life may have been, and I'm not talking about those that something happened outside of their control, not talking about those, but the next step for those that when something happens that is out of their control is to redraw their blueprint. But it's for those that don't want to take self-responsibility, self-accountability, these far right parties. So the messaging that they bring forward is just fiery, it is divisive, it is uh, just aggressive. And I have no time for it at all, because they never actually bring forward a solution. All they do is rant on about situations and issues to try and appeal on an emotive level to their supporters. But they never, ever, ever, in the 30 years that the Orange Harpy's been in governance, she has never brought forward an actual solution or a workable solution. Anyhow, the challenge is the Sun card. Okay, they are really exposing themselves now. That's going to be their challenge, is they are really exposing who they are. So how's the future going to go? You've got the Hermit shining a light, trying to find a path forward. So they've been out in the boondocks, out in the cold for quite a while as a party. You know, they might have had one representative in Parliament, in our federal Parliament. They may have gotten a couple on sort of more local levels, but they're really being isolated as the loons and out in the cold. At the moment, the energy they're stewing in is they're trying to find their path forward. They're coming out of that isolation and trying to find their path forward. Okay. In the past, the chaos, the Chariot card, absolutely. They were pretty much the laughing joke because they were such a lunatic, fringe, chaotic party, but that's in the past. They've now solidified themselves and presented themselves as an alternative. So this is the here and now. Their challenges, though, is going to be, okay, you're now in this position. What are you going to do with it? With the Sun card. Okay, crowning this reading is the Two of Swords. They have to actually come up with a strategy about which direction forward they're going to take. They can't hide behind the veil any longer. They've now put themselves as a party out front and centre, as a so-called viable alternative. They have to actually come up with some strategy about what they're going to do, because just spreading vilification and falsehoods, lies pretty much, is not going to cut it any longer. They're now front and centre as probably the opposition to the government of the day. So they can't just carry on in this chaos anymore. They actually have to be a representative party. The immediate future, the Nine of Cups. Yeah, the smug merchant thinking all is hunky-dory. Yay, we've got this. The immediate future. Be careful what you wish for, though, because it might come back and bite you on the backside. But emotionally, they're in this, yeah, we're so wonderful. Let's crack the champers and have a drink sort of type thing. I think the immediate future for One Nation is that they think they're all that in a cup of tea and that they're sitting pretty with their red scarf around their neck. Externally, though, they might be in for a bit of a shock. So it's the Ace of Wands, the Fire Dragon, bringing forward a new plan, a new strategy, a new message. But it can also, yeah, I think this is what they're doing. They're going to bring forward new messaging. Like this is, yeah, okay, thank you. So externally for new One Nation, they're going to bring forward, plant their talking stick in the sand and bring forward more explosive, fiery rhetoric. Okay. And this internally, we want to go back to the 1950s. Wasn't it so wonderful and good with that Six of Cups? We want to return to white Australia. We want to return to when the First Nations people didn't have a vote. We want to return to. So this is about nostalgia for the past, but is it going to wear? Because the only constant is change. The only way forward is forward. And the good old days were not so much good old days unless you were a squeaky, straight, white man. Okay, the hopes and fears working together. So this might be, so the LNP has put out the offer, the one that was the opposition until it went so far right that people sort of gave it away, have put out the offer to actually drop the National Party and take on board the One Nation Party. So this might be a new alliance that comes together, hoping for. Right, the outcome, 7 of Swords, lies, deceit, betrayal, trying to make out like a bandit, taking their lies and going home, on the back foot trying to defend their position with the 7 of Wands. You've got the King of Coins, the big moneyed interests, but then you've got the 5 of Swords, the betrayal, people walking away, defending the position of being backed by the big money because they're the party that supposedly is for the battler, for the little person. Okay, where's my $2 million aeroplane? I think they're going to end up going too far. This is the win at any cost, that people are going to start walking away due to 10 of Wands, overreach, going too far. You've got the false victory card with the 6 of Wands. You've got the Hierophant here, the higher authorities, but this could be, claiming a false victory of something bigger. And then you've got the 10 of Coins, but this is the end of the era of the oligarch and then the Judgment. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to tie themselves more and more to the moneyed, and it's really going to turn people off. Really, and then you've got the 9 of Swords, the nightmare situation once the Judgment moment happens, because they go into this overreach. Yep. They lean too far, and it's too obvious, like it's going to be too obvious that they are backed by the moneyed. There will be some like MAGA that will cling on until their dying breath, but I think it's actually going to be quite off-putting. The exposure. I mean, the true journalism in Australia does not pander to this type of energy, this type of the non-paid journalism. Okay, what does the future hold for the orange harpy? What does the future hold for the orange harpy herself? Oh, she looks old and bitter. What does the future hold for the orange harpy herself? There's that Knight of Wands again. You saw me shuffle. She's going to double down on the fiery, inflammatory rhetoric. The Wheel of Fortune is her challenge, though. Times are changing. I don't know that she's reading the room. The Wheel of Fortune. You've then got the Knight of Swords, the energy stewing in. A harsh truth coming forward for her. In the past, the 4 of Swords, when the orange idiot goes down, there's a harsh truth that's coming for her. Crowning this reading is this Ace of Wands. New beginning, big stick in regards to this energy. Right, the immediate future, you've got the nostalgia, 6 of Cups, or it could be the naivety. Externally, money changing hands. So what's going to happen with this is a wish for the good old days in the immediate future. So when the orange idiot goes, Four of Swords, karma is going to come and bite her on the bum in regards to her overreach, what she's put out there. She's going to have an emotional nostalgia for what was. And I think what's going to come out externally, there's going to be information's going to come out about bribery, payments that weren't, declared, things like that. Internally, the Death card, ending, significant ending. I like these cards. You've got the regret and the loss here in the hopes and fears. She's got this in the immediate future, this lust for the good old days. Nine of Coins, those that feathered their nest financially. The Eight of Coins, a money trail. And the Three of Swords. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. She might even find herself back in jail. Loss, regret, heartbreak. Eight of Swords, confinement. Seven of Wands on the back foot trying to defend her position. But I just don't think it's going to. What's that one? I just don't think it's going to work. You've got the Hierophant, the Hanged Man, the Lovers. So three major arcana is the underlying energy. Government, the willing sacrifice for those that she's in some sort of agreement for. And what is it? Money. Self-enrichment, money trails. And then you've got the Ten of Swords going to be her downfall. Legal downfall. She may end up again in the clink for God, they're not good cards for her. And you've got the High Priestess, secrets being revealed. I literally just split the deck. Secrets being revealed to do with money. The Fool and the Overreach. The Emperor, the Five of Swords, and the moneyed oligarchs being exposed. Wanting this position of power, abusing the situation, the moneyed oligarchs going to be revealed. Yeah, I think she's going to go down again for financial finagling, corruption, whatever you like to call it. Money changing hands that wasn't declared or was highly illegal. Yeah, I just don't feel worried about her going forward. And it's the same with the what's happening in the US. Someone asked me about will Thomas M sit for McConnell's seat when McConnell, the walking, that one. From Kentucky. I don't feel any energy about either of them at the moment because I just feel it's not going to be relevant in this short-term future. And when I'm talking short-term, I'm talking about the next 2 to 4 years. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Oh, man, love to you all. Catch you shortly. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'm off to make myself some big pot of very chunky vegetable, beef and bean soup. Okay, take care.